Okay, so next we'll see the display property. So these are different values for a display property: none, inline, block, flex, grid, inline block, inline flex, inline grid. Okay, so none. This none will remove the element from the DOM. Inline element behaves like a span element. So this is the default value for display property. We cannot apply height and width if the display property is inline for the element. Then the next is a block. It behaves like a paragraph element. It will start on new line. Then the flex, this will enable the container as a block level flex container. Then grid will enable the container as a block level grid container. Then inline block, it will create a inline level block container element formatted as inline, but we can assign height and width to it. Then the inline level flex container will create by assigning the inline flex value for a display property. Then inline level grid container will be created. Suppose we have 3 children in a inline flex, then container's width will be the sum of each item widths, but in case of flex, it covers the 100% width of a parent. So this way, suppose the parent's width is a 900 pixel, and if we use the flex property, so these 3 elements will be the length of 300 pixel each, and suppose in inline flex we have assigned the width of 200 pixel, it will just cover the 600 pixel of a container. And the same applies to grid versus inline grid. Okay, so the next is difference between flex and a grid. Both are the used to create a layouts in a CSS. So the flex box is made for one-dimensional layouts, and the grid is made for two-dimensional layouts. By using the display flex, we define the flex container, and by using the display grid, we define the grid container. In a flex item, the box stretches as far as the content goes, but in case of grid does not stretch automatically according to the content. The flex is for a small design to work with a few rows and columns. The grid is used for complex design to work with. If we need to align the elements, we'll go with the flex. If we need to add gaps over the block elements, we'll go with a grid. Okay, then the next is a content at the center. So first is a horizontal centered text. For container, we'll assign the text align center. It will center out the text children's. Then centering a div. For a child, we'll use the margin 0 and auto. In this way we can center out the div. Then the center a div with a flex box. We can assign this display flex, justify content at center, align items at center. These three properties we can assign to a div flex container, and the children of this div will be at center horizontally and vertically. Suppose if we want only horizontally center, we don't use the align item center, we'll just use justify content at center. It will align center horizontally. And if we want the vertical align, we'll just use align items center. We won't use the justify content center. In this way we can made a div vertically center. Then the center a div with CSS absolute positioning and a negative margin. So first of all, the container will be the position relative, and child will be the position absolute, top 50%, left 50%, and we'll use transform, and the value will be translate 0 comma minus 50%. So in this way we can create a center div using the positions. In this case also, if we don't use it, don't use top property, it will create if we don't use a top property, it will create horizontal center div, and if we don't use the left 50% property, it will make a vertically center div. Okay, the next is styling scroll bars. We can use the following pseudo elements to styling the scroll bars. So the WebKit scroll bar, WebKit scroll bar button, WebKit scroll bar thumb, WebKit scroll bar track, WebKit scroll bar track piece, WebKit scroll bar corner. So the WebKit scroll bar, we apply the CSS to the scroll bar. WebKit scroll bar button, we apply the CSS to the buttons on a scroll bar, that is arrow pointing upwards and downwards. Then we apply the CSS to a WebKit scroll bar thumb using this WebKit scroll bar thumb pseudo element. This will apply the CSS to draggable handle. Then WebKit scroll bar track will apply the CSS to the track of the scroll bar. Then WebKit scroll bar track piece, this will apply the CSS to the track but which is not covered by the handle. Then we have WebKit scroll bar corner pseudo element. This will apply the CSS to the bottom corner of the scroll bar where both horizontal and vertical scroll bar meets. So the height is used to manage the width of horizontal scroll bar, and width is managed to width of the vertical scroll bar.